church. Here is the steeple. Open the doors and see all the people.
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 God accepts all the people.
All the people.
All the people.
So do we, the United Church of Christ. No matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you're welcome here.
All the people.
When the Genesis account of creation was not yet written down, but still a story told around the village fire by storytellers whose sacred duty it was to pass on the oral tradition of the tribe, one of the intentions of the story was to claim and assure the people that they were chosen by God to be called out and different from all other people, that they were given a special status by God, a status which they often, perhaps too often, boasted about. For centuries, that claim was made by only Jews, but later, both Christians and Muslims who share and claim the first 5 books of the Old Testament as being their very own also claimed this special heritage. And it has been the claim of being chosen by these 3 different religious and cultural groups that has been the root of centuries of fighting to the point of war. And until this claim is either set aside or shared, tension and taunting and war will continue. Such was the transition that Jesus was commissioning his disciples, as we find in the story from Matthew 28. Jesus, a Jew, is not interested in perpetuating the notion that one people are chosen by God over another people. His disciples, also Jews, would not necessarily find his words comforting and understandable. They had been raised with the racial prejudice that they were special above all other people. They were the children of Abraham, the descendants of a great promised heritage. The creation command of being fruitful and multiplying and having dominion over all living things was given exclusively to them, the Jews, and everyone else was to be simply tolerated. They were not among the chosen. Jesus' command to go into all the world, baptizing them into this new faith, was a huge threat. Jesus' vision was to not just knock down the gate, but the entire wall that the Jews had built around themselves. He challenged, both in his ministry and in this moment with his disciples, all of the racial pride and prejudice that had been ingrained in these people. Jesus' message of God's love, of God's hope, of God's peace was not to be held tight-fisted by any single group of people, but what now was to be offered to the entire world. And legend has it that the disciples did go into the world in many different directions to share the good news of this Jesus who was challenging people to look and hear beyond the tapes that ran in their heads. I believe that First Grace strives to be faithful to this gospel. Our welcoming statement was written with the intent of claiming both heritage and vision, that our church family is open and affirming of all persons, regardless of where they come from or where they are going. Not stated, but certainly understood, is a commitment to challenge and help each other in turning off the tapes of prejudice each of us were raised with. Whether that is a prejudice of sexual orientation, or identity, or disability, or social or economic status, or on and on and on. we gather here as a community of faith, attempting to not claim an elevated status in God's eye, but striving to unselfishly and faithfully demonstrate the love and care which Jesus commanded his disciples to take to the ends of the earth. Trinity Church, Chicago, the Church of Jeremiah Wright, has a proclamation that says, unashamedly black, unapologetically Christian. I really like that part. Unapologetically Christian. What power there is in that phrase. It really draws the line and makes it clear that Christ's principles will be claimed and proclaimed in the ministries of the church. The unashamedly black part, well, the church probably would not have grown to the number it is today without such a proclamation. Rising with the sun of the civil rights movement, such a claim was a beacon of hope for black Christians who still felt second class in a church and faith that was predominantly white and European in nature, style, and function. Unashamedly black staked the claim that the black church was as important to God as the whites. Jesus did not call his church to be the exclusive domain of whites. Jesus' church was to be open to all the people. Unashamedly black has served and continues to serve its purpose. But the day will come when the people of Trinity Church will come to realize that the claim is also a stumbling block which prevents the church from being all that it can be, all that God calls it to be. The phrase betrays a bit of racism that will have to be exorcised, or the church will find that it is no different than churches that find comfort in their claim to be being unashamedly white, or unashamedly Korean, or unashamedly gay. Churches which do not challenge the prejudicial tapes that run in people's heads. Churches which still perpetuate exclusion of certain others. Churches which foster prejudice in whatever form it can take will eventually consume themselves with the fears and distrust of their own claim, with their prejudice and closedness. I believe that you and I are part of a new beacon of hope in Akron and for the world. We are trying to turn off the tapes that run in our heads. I believe that we are attempting to provide a setting where everyone can find safety from the bullying and name-calling that goes on all around us, working together to find ways to help all people find a welcoming spirit here. I was told before service a troubling story occurring now at Firestone High School, where there's conversation about changing the student policies that will not protect LGBT youth. And this church has and will have something to say about that. I believe that our children, whether related to us by blood or by our welcoming arms, will be able to take what we are doing here and in the years beyond our time and witness, propel First Grace even further in the direction of God's realm of harmony and peace. Thanks be to God. Amen.